Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that.
Joining us now, Representative Mike Lawler from New York, also a member of the House Financial Services Committee, where Fed Chairman Jay Powell will appear later today. Okay, so you can comment on what we're talking. What we just heard the president say, Congressman. You can comment on yesterday. They said they called you and some of your cohorts the salt people, and it almost sounded like Lord of the Flies or something. I'm not sure what it's like. Some weird group of individuals on the island that hoards. I don't know. It sounded funny. Then we got Jay Powell. So we have all these things to talk about. First, let's talk about the Middle East. I know that we're all. Yeah. You know, none of us are experts, but we're all willing to talk about it. But the president seemed really unhappy with, even more with Israel in some of the comments he just made. Unhappy with both sides, but more particular with Israel.
Well, thanks for having me, Joe. Look, this is obviously a very complex situation. The Middle East always has been. And I certainly understand the president's frustration. He took decisive action, less than 72 hours ago to eliminate those 3 nuclear sites and really put Iran's nuclear program on the brink. And so, obviously the objective has and remains to bring about peace. It's why the president fought so hard to get the Abraham Accords in his first term, to actually normalize relations between Arab states and the state of Israel. And here he is trying to bring this conflict to an end. He is trying to bring the conflicts around the globe to an end, because the reality is you cannot have peace and you cannot have prosperity if these conflicts rage on. And so obviously the threat of Iran's nuclear program was why the president made the decision to strike. He would like to see a ceasefire. I think all of us recognize that we do not want a regional conflict. We do not want this spilling out into other parts of the Middle East or beyond. And so, there's obviously clear frustration with the fact that Iran and or its proxies launched missiles. Israel obviously prepared to respond, and on it goes. And so, this really is a moment where you want to see cooler heads prevail. You want to see the tensions come down and actually work towards a long-term peace agreement and stop this war. Obviously, Iran is the greatest state sponsor of terror. So it is not just a function of their nuclear program. It is their ballistic missiles program, which they have used extensively against Israel over the last year, as well as obviously their funding of terror proxies. All of that needs to come to an end. All of that needs to be part of a long-term negotiation towards peace. And if Iran is not capable of that, then obviously that will bear out in the days and weeks ahead, as we saw during the 60 days they were given to negotiate the end of their nuclear program, and they chose not to. And now, obviously, we see the consequences of that.
Right. I forgot, as a New Yorker, we could talk about what's happening today.
Yeah, let's talk about
the election, too. Well, New York City is never, just about anything is possible. That's one of the great things about New York, is anything is possible in New York City.
No question about it. Obviously, today is election day. With ranked choice voting, we're very unlikely to know the outcome today. It'll take a few days, if not a week, to count all the votes and tabulate it through this ridiculous ranked choice voting system, which, in my view, is really a violation of the Constitution and one person, one vote. But you have, obviously, a choice between Andrew Cuomo, the disastrous, disgraced former governor of New York, and Zohran Mamdani, who, has aligned himself with the BDS movement and the radical protesters in the streets raging against Israel, engaged in anti-Semitism, an avowed socialist. So this is going to be a fascinating fight to the finish today. I look and obviously the fact that Cuomo's the front runner, if you will, is just based on one simple fact. The choices are disastrous for the city of New York. These folks will make Bill de Blasio look competent. And so, you look at what has happened over the past, nearly 12 years with Democrat rule in New York City. They have destroyed the city. They have allowed crime to fester. Wall Street has left New York in droves, and it has created a real crisis. And so, we'll see what comes out of today's election. But I will tell you, if Zohran Mamdani wins, that does not bode well for New York.
Well, that's interesting, Representative. I'm curious, given your dim view of both candidates, which one you ultimately would prefer, because the truth is you could see a situation where if one of these candidates were to win, that maybe a Republican or an independent ultimately, when you get to the final vote, could ultimately come in, right? And there's even talk about Cuomo, if he were to lose, running as an independent separately so that he's sort of hedging his bets in all sorts of different ways. I don't know if that would work or not.
Yeah, regardless of the primary outcome today, you're going to have a multi-candidate general election, including Eric Adams, the current mayor, Curtis Sliwa, the Republican candidate, and Cuomo has an independent ballot line, and Mamdani likely will be on the Working Families Party line. So you're going to have a multi-candidate race. I think, at that point, anything could happen. But, just on Andrew Cuomo, I think it's important for people to remember. Andrew Cuomo is the one who signed cashless bail into law. Andrew Cuomo is the one that signed congestion pricing into law. Andrew Cuomo is the one that made New York a sanctuary state. Andrew Cuomo is the one that shut down Indian Point and blocked natural gas. So many of the challenges that New York is facing stem from the policies that Andrew Cuomo championed and signed into law. So Andrew Cuomo, by no means, is this great choice for New York.
But if you had to pick between the two, I guess, I don't know, the top candidates right now, but the ones that are
neither.
polling.
I would pick neither. I would pick neither. They're both
You're
disastrous
picking Brad
for New
Lander?
York.
What are you doing?
He's writing in Mitt Romney.
No, I'm not. Listen, I'm a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. So I wouldn't choose any of these folks. They have all contributed to the downfall of New York City.
Where do you land on the current
way.
mayor then, Representative?
Rudy.
Oh, my God.
Listen, you have a Hobson's choice here. Frankly, it is really unfortunate for New York. And that's, frankly, why many people do at least look towards Cuomo, because they at least view him as serious as compared to some of these people. But to me, this is a very awful choice for New Yorkers in today's Democratic primary. I don't think any of them are a great option. Curtis Sliwa, obviously, is the Republican candidate. We'll see what happens in a general election here when you have a multi-candidate race. And if Zohran Mamdani is the Democratic nominee, I certainly think Curtis Sliwa has a pathway.
It's kind of like a microcosm of the National Democratic Party.
No question.
Congressman, let me ask you about salt. You have been a huge proponent of raising that salt cap limit. The House put together a bill that had a $40,000 cap limit instead of the $10,000 that currently exists. The Senate took a look at it and said, nope, slashed it back to $10,000. You had said that this was going to be dead on arrival if that's the case. Where do those negotiations stand?
Nowhere. And I would just say to my Republican colleagues in the Senate, this is a very foolish decision if you send back a bill with $10,000. The fact is, 29 states over the last 7 years blew through the $10,000 cap on salt. This is not just about those bad blue states. and penalizing taxpayers in those states. The fact is that this is an issue of double taxation. It was used as a pay-for other provisions within the tax bill. We have been very clear. We understand that we're not getting everything we want. We understand we're not getting unlimited. If we did, things like the AMT would come back in full force, and that would be disastrous for New York and the country. So we recognize that. We negotiated in good faith with the Speaker, with the White House. We came to an agreement on a $40,000 cap with a $500,000 income cap, which phases back down to $10,000 when you phase that out, and you get around to about $620,000 in income. And you have to remember, the AMT goes into effect at $500,000 for individuals, $1 million for those filing jointly. So we are cognizant of all of it. We made a good faith negotiation. This is the deal, and everybody should stick to it.